Who's actually getting the most out of a robotic pool cleaner, and who should just stick with a manual vacuum? If you're trying to decide whether the Dolphin Nautilus CC is worth the money for your everyday backyard pool, you're probably weighing the fear of buying a gadget that sits in a corner gathering dust against the promise of a hands-free scrub that can climb walls. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the real-world scenarios that decide if this machine earns a spot in your summer routine or ends up as an expensive paperweight. First off, the Nautilus CC is marketed for in-ground and above-ground pools up to 33 feet long, with a wall-climbing brush that claims to tackle those stubborn algae streaks you usually have to hand scrub. That's a big deal if your pool has a lot of vertical surface area. Think a rectangular pool with tall steps or a deep-end wall that collects grime. For a family that spends a few weeks a year in the pool, the appeal is obvious. Set it and forget it while you grill, read, or watch the kids splash. But if you only dip a toe once a month, the cost of a $600+ robot might feel steep compared with a cheap hose-attached vacuum. What really separates the Nautilus CC from a basic suction cleaner is the active scrubbing feature. In practice, that means the robot's brush head rotates while it presses against the pool surface. I've seen owners of pools that get a lot of leaf fallout or fine sand say the brush does a decent job pulling that material off the walls before it settles. In a typical summer, you might run the robot for an hour each morning and come back to a pool that looks like it's been hand scrubbed. That's a real time saver if you have kids who create a constant stream of debris. On the flip side, the easy filter care claim translates into a top-load filter basket that you pop open, dump the collected dirt, and rinse. It's convenient, but the filter capacity isn't huge. In a pool that gathers a lot of pine needles or heavy pollen, you'll find yourself emptying it every few hours. That isn't a deal breaker, but it does mean the robot isn't truly set it and forget it for high debris situations. Some reviewers have mentioned needing to pause the cycle to clean the filter, which can be a nuisance if you're hoping for a completely hands-free weekend. Plug-and-play efficiency is another selling point. The unit comes with a single power cord that you plug into a standard 120-volt outlet, and there's no separate battery pack to charge. You simply drop the robot into the water, press start, and it begins its cleaning pattern. That simplicity works well for homeowners who aren't tech-savvy or don't want to wrestle with Wi-Fi connections or app updates. The downside is you're tethered to the nearest outlet, which can be limiting for larger pools where the power source is far from the deep end. You may need an extension cord, which adds an extra piece of equipment to manage and raises safety considerations around water. Now, who should actually consider buying this thing? If you have a medium-sized residential pool, say 25 to 30 feet long with vertical walls that get a noticeable buildup of algae or biofilm, the Nautilus CC makes sense. Its wall-climbing brush addresses a problem many traditional robots ignore, and the plug-and-play design means you don't have to learn a new app or schedule. Families that use the pool regularly, especially those who host weekend barbecues, will appreciate the ability to run the robot while the adults are inside the house. The Dolphin Legacy tag isn't just marketing fluff. Dolphin has been making pool cleaners for decades, and their service network is fairly robust in the US, which can be reassuring if something goes wrong. Conversely, you should probably skip this model if you have a small above-ground pool that's under 15 feet, or if you're on a tight budget and only need occasional surface cleaning. The robot's price point is higher than a basic suction cleaner, and the limited filter size means you'll be stopping the cleaning cycle often in leaf-heavy environments. Also, if you own a pool with a lot of intricate landscaping, multiple waterfalls, a lot of curves, or a lot of hard-to-reach corners, the Nautilus CC's cleaning pattern can struggle to navigate tight spaces, leaving pockets of debris untouched. A practical weakness that isn't always highlighted in the spec sheet is the noise level. While it's definitely quieter than a traditional backpack vacuum, the motor still produces a humming sound that you'll hear in the backyard. In most cases, it's not disruptive, but if you're looking for a whisper-quiet device for early morning cleaning, you might find it louder than you expected. Another trade-off involves the robot's ability to handle larger debris. The active brush does a good job with fine particles and algae, but a chunk of a fallen branch or a large piece of foam can get tangled in the brush rollers, causing the robot to stall. In that scenario,